Yo, it's ODB from OLP. This is ODB's Corner. Welcome back. If you're here, please stick with me through the end. I'm going to do a rundown, for the most part, of Pascal's masterpiece, the truck that we all know as Stranger. Of course, that truck has changed hands, so I want to talk about in this video a little bit of the history, especially from the media perspective. I kind of feel like many of you will possibly pick up on something that you did not know about this truck. And I'm going to show you a very unique perspective of some photos that I took some 7-8 years ago, which was pretty cool that Pascal let me take these back in 2017. So stick with me to the end and let's jump right in. All right, so I put together some slides here. I'm also going to showcase some video as well. So it'll be a mix between the two. So again, stick with me. You can see here, this is a screenshot from, I think, Instagram. Someone had tagged him many moons ago, and this is Pascal. For those that don't know him, I've met him before. Super nice guy. If Pascal happens to see this, tip of the cap, brother. If I miss any kind of key information, whether it's Pascal or Brett or anyone else that's watching this, maybe a fan of this truck, or all you mini truckers out there, please chime in. This isn't going to be a complete history, but it's going to be a pretty solid history from what I know and have researched. So the original owner, as we know, many of you know, was Pascal, and this is the guy that's in the Safe Light commercials. It's pretty cool. Every time I see these commercials, I think, hey, I bet that guy. I know that guy. I have a DVD right here that we're going to talk more about that he actually signed at Lone Star Throwdown a few years ago, rolling with his friends in Louisiana Classics. And, of course, we'll talk about this as well here in just a moment. But his Instagram is a funny one. It's Dog8, my username. This is a 2000 Ford Ranger that we're talking about. And really what I want to do, and I love pulling together and kind of curating this kind of content, I want to give a pretty complete or near complete breakdown of this truck in terms of the main media coverage that it received over the course of time. Now, again, I could be missing a couple pieces here, but it's fun for me to kind of pull this stuff together. So in just a moment, I'll show you some of the video of this magazine itself. These are just the stills, of course, but not stock photography. John Jackson, one of the greats. He's really just a master when it comes to some of these low light feature shoots, in my opinion. Tip of the cap, John. Always love seeing you at shows. You can see here on the left, this is a screenshot, if I remember correctly, from Instagram. Of course, John took this photo, and we'll see a little bit more of this when we look at the actual magazine. Again, I'll pipe in a little bit of video here in a moment. But this is all the way back in April of 2010. So about 14 years ago, for those that do not know, this is the same truck. So you can see, I believe it was Stumpy was his nickname, that had the Blue Ranger. I've seen this one in person. And then, of course, you've got Pascal's Ranger there. Again, super cool. This was kind of a nod, in my opinion, back to the 90s with the Power Rangers. Of course, different color Rangers, but certainly super cool that they did a dual cover that landed two features out of these two. So this is the main media coverage, kind of kicking it off from what I recall Mini Truckin Magazine cover, of course, April 2010. All right, and here is the feature itself, not just the stills. You can see there, John Jackson, not stock photography, really did an awesome job on this shoot. Now here you can see the table of contents, which they did a great job with. You see they mention the Ranger there on page 36, the Blue Ranger, that is. You can see this wide photo here with the TNT and fire. And then, of course, you see there the cover. Just a super awesome table of contents, great layout. Now, when you get to page 36, A Tale of Two Rangers, you can see here just a great layout. And they did an awesome job. This was by Mike Alexander and the owners of the two trucks. And then what they did is, I think they did fantastic tying the two features together with the dual shoot there. And then, of course, you've got the individual features after, including Stranger, which we're talking about in this video, Hell or High Water. Super awesome. But that's not all. Boom. There you've got your basically pull-out poster, Mini Truckin magazine, your wide angle, John Jackson, awesome low light photo with the graffiti. Amazing shoot. And now, ironically enough, a month later, give or take, was Showfest of 2010. So I was out there, I had my chassis for Bada Bing, and these, for whatever reason, these were the two photos I took. I took a lot of photos that weekend. I looked back at my collection, and these were a couple that I took that I could find. And you could see I was fixated to the engine bay. I thought, wow, it was cool that this truck just appeared on the cover. Probably early to mid-March, it arrived, of course, being the April issue, and then boom, right here at Showfest in Tunica, you can see just all of the work, little shop put into this amazing engine bay, and really just a work of art. Of course, these are photos that I took. And then you see Stumpy's Ranger as well in the back, which is ironic because, again, they were both on the cover just in that same time period. Now, I don't have a lot of photos or information on kind of between then, which, again, you're thinking is 2010, and then you fast forward just under 3 years later, and this was, if I have the dates correct, basically that first weekend in March. Now, I've posted this a couple times incorrectly, and Pascal, at least once, maybe twice, thanks to Pascal for chiming in, he has reinforced to me, hey, just to kind of get the timeline right, the Stranger debut took place at the New Orleans World of Wheels event. This was awesome. I remember taking screenshots that day. I was blown away because, one, you've got this really cool display. You've got this truck that really is a masterpiece. And, some folks have said it's kind of like the modern day hot rod for our genre as a mini trucker. Whether you love or hate this truck, there's no denying you have to respect it. I think it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest ever. And what you see, from my understanding, and maybe we'll get Pascal on the podcast in the future and tie in Brett as well, the new owner, but he hired, our understanding was this band that basically played that kind of tied into the theme of course, New Orleans and some of the kind of the atmosphere, I think you would say, as him, of course, being from Louisiana. Now, I don't remember exactly the year on this, but I'm also going to show you in just a second a little bit of footage from this DVD. Now, I don't know if you can still get these from Frenchie, but this DVD here that I have in my hand is my copy, and this was part 4 of their Inspired Lifestyle. So Frenchie and his awesome wife, they did this feature, and there's kind of an Easter egg here if you own this DVD, which, again, if you don't and you're a fan of this truck, you have to get this. There's a lot of good nuggets on here. But if you take a look at Pascal's teeth, that ties into a little bit of what you'll see on the DVD. And again, Frenchie has kind of moved on from solo films. He does have a YouTube channel. I checked it before I started this video. I think he was at like 48,000 views or something like that. But certainly he was instrumental, I think, in really leaving his thumbprint on the videography side of the mini trucking scene. And he, of course, had that unique experience to be able to feature Pascal's Ranger. Now, just before I play a little bit of the short clips, because again, I don't want to pipe in too much here with this, kind of keep it high level. This was super cool because you're going to see this again here that ties into the Slammed feature. But this was the title, if you will, DVDs are kind of old school now, which is kind of crazy. But, obviously, if you are accustomed to DVDs, like when you first put it in, it's going to go to your title screen. There's the play, there's the chapters. And then when you click on chapters, there's also another image of it. Okay, I don't know that I could rip this, and it is technically not something I want to rip and necessarily put out there. I didn't make this. Frenchie at Solo Films did, of course. But this little skit is super cool, and this is just the extra degree that he would go through with putting this together. I know him and his wife put a lot of effort into these, and it was super cool. You could see the balloons kind of flying, kind of a used car salesman. Hey, do you want to buy this truck? Sure, I'll buy it. And we get a super excited Pascal in just a moment after he pays for the truck. Don't you wish it was that easy to buy a truck to this caliber? Of course, he takes off the balloons. He rips off the sticker on the windshield, and he starts the truck. He airs it up, and he's on his way. There you go. Hip hop hooray. Okay, here, just to kind of give credit, directed and edited by Sean French, a.k.a. Frenchie. He works at Fat Fabs, longtime Sever Ties member. Videography, Sean and I believe his wife helped as well, which is super cool. And again, all of this, if you own the DVD, you'll get a chance to see all this. This was also another cool thing with the Louisiana tie-in. He kind of brought in a little bit of what you would see in the surrounding areas. Now, I kind of jumped here. Digital artwork was KP Concepts. You could see this was part of the gag with the teeth and the Easter egg that you could see on the DVD cover when he's driving. So if you've never noticed that. Now, the footage is super cool, and you can see just, a really, really good job of doing the feature on this. I kind of jumped around a little bit to try to get a little bit of this just to kind of tie in to what the feature was about. It was just fantastic. And this was in an era when a lot of the DVDs, magazines were kind of getting some exclusives on some of these awesome trucks. Now, thinking back to 2013, I remember seeing the footage of it. It goes to Scrapin'. So obviously it debuts 3 months earlier, June. It comes out at Scrapin', obviously does amazing. And it was super cool to see this truck again on the show circuit at STC, which is one of our title sponsors here at Scrapin', or at OLP, one of our title sponsors, Scrapin' the Coast. Of course, 2013, rest in peace, Greg Billard. He was so excited to see it. And Greg knew the ambiance of this truck and what it really meant to the scene and how much Pascal put into it. So it was awesome. Now, I know what you're thinking, like, hey, well, I'm not going to have every show in here, but this is when I saw it next. So I saw it in October, so it doesn't say October, but Gainesville 2013, I get to see it, and this was on some of these, I think, from maybe Pascal's Instagram, and I think I took some as well. The cool thing was, I talked to someone recently, and I think we all agree, like, Pascal didn't take this to a ton of shows. And I remember chatting with Pascal, wanting to get some features of it or some photos of it with my truck. And he just said, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be taking it to many more shows. I'd like to get his insight on that. Did he feel like, he left his thumbprint and he was ready to kind of exit with the truck? Obviously, he ends up selling the truck, which we'll talk about. But it was super cool that he didn't just keep this truck in one particular state. Sometimes we'll see someone that kind of stays a little close to home. In this perspective, he was getting it out to different places, and it was super cool. I got a chance to see it in October of 2013. Now, these aren't in exact chronological order, but you can kind of understand kind of where my mindset is. Pascal also has the unique opportunity. Radar, shout out to Todd Hendricks, a.k.a. Radar. He produces this mini truck film, basically the West Coast influence. You can see here, this is a screenshot that I took many years ago on the right, and it's just like one of those cards, if you will, that was helping to promote the production when it first came out. But Radar and I have talked, and you can kind of see that photo on the right is basically that setup, just slightly different angle. And this was shot at Lone Star Throwdown in the back area, which my guess would be 2014. So we'll talk more about 2014 LST. I was there, and it just was amazing. It was cool to see what Pascal did with the truck, and we'll hit upon that. But basically, Pascal's truck is featured on the cover of Solo Films DVD, which I showed you, but it's also on the West Coast Influence, which are super cool. So we'll look at some of the footage here just briefly, and I'll talk about it. Now here is the title screen for the West Coast Influence. You can see here Pascal, which was awesome, kind of showing the different generations, if you will. This was created by Todd Hendricks. These are just kind of a couple minor clips there. You can kind of see this was from the behind the scenes shoot. Of course, Smiley's truck as well. He also signed that DVD cover for me. Shout out to Todd Radar Hendricks, West Coast Influence. These are a couple of excerpts here just to kind of showcase what they did. Just an awesome feature overall. Really ties into the legacy of this truck. They do get a good amount of Pascal kind of talking about his insight to the build and things like that, which was cool. I haven't watched it in a while. I've watched it several times, which is kind of cool to kind of go back and reminisce a little bit about the hard work and a lot of effort and time that go into these productions. Certainly, none of us set out, most of us don't set out to get the recognition. We want to do it for different reasons. Certainly some may because they want, the recognition or the awards, but many of us don't. And it's certainly cool to see the amount of detail that people put into their builds, including what Pascal and the different folks put in on this awesome truck. So here we're going to kind of wrap it up. I know they've got a little bit of him talking. So here we're going to kind of wrap it up. They show a little bit of the interior, and then here is a quick cruising shot as we get back to the regular content. Okay, so the online feature. Now, I know Pascal, and again, we're going to get to something that many of you probably don't know in just a moment. But, Pascal, I think, even made, I didn't take a screenshot of it, but he even made a comment recently. I know I threw out my opinion. I thought that the truck should have gotten even more coverage back when it did, or when it debuted, rather. But for those that don't know, basically when Frenchie shot it for in Solo Films, he also shot it for Mike Alexander's, at the time, Slammed Mag. So what you're seeing on the left is kind of the lead photo in that feature. I helped Mike with Slammed Mag with some of the features, but I did not write this one. And then on the right, when I went back through all of Pascal's photos that he's been tagged in via Instagram, this is one that Mike had made by In the News, that plaque, of course, and you can see the feature there on the top, kind of that cover image, if you will, there. So that was super cool. And again, if you look back at the Solo Films DVD, you'll see, I believe it was from that same shoot. Frenchie does the videography, but he also, you have that power plant kind of in the background there with the power lines and all that stuff, what it looks like. Or it could have been the oil industry, that industrial, if you will, background. Now, this is something that many of you may not know. I would say a lot are not aware of this. And I don't know, going back, maybe Pascal talked about this a little bit back many moons ago, but this is one reason why I wanted to put this together. In basically January of 2014, okay, I own this magazine. Or actually these images came from Mikado. I had to dig mine out, and I asked him for these, and he sent these from Japan, so thank you so much. You can see here, it lands as an insert photo in the upper right corner of Truck Trends, which predates, of course, now we know the magazine as Custom Trucks Mag, or CTM in Japan. But Truck Trends magazine, you can see in the upper right corner, January 2014. This truck, for those that did not know, was featured in Juan Trevino, Tip of the Cap. He shot the feature on this. So for those that may have forgotten or never knew this is the first time that you're going to see this, and I'll show you a brief clip of it. Super cool cover on the left, and then you see, obviously, the Stranger U.S. Show Truck 2000 Ford Ranger on the right. A beautiful interior lead shot, and then below that, you just have one of the most insane engine bays you're going to see on any truck, not just a mini truck. Again, tip of the cap to Pascal and Little Shop, let's be honest, for what they built here. Now, here is the rear three-quarter shot of the truck. I used this image as the thumbnail. You may have noticed that. This, of course, is the continuation. Now, believe it or not, some people go, hey, this is cool, but you can't read it. You can use the Google Translate if you have any of these Japan magazines or anything that you need to translate. And when you hover your device, your iPhone or Android device, over the text, it real-time translates it, so you can figure out what it says. And then this is the rest. Again, many of you may not know this, but I wanted to kind of share because this truck is obviously landed on a cover for May of 2024. And if you think about it, this amazing run that the truck has been on now over 11 years, going back to March of 2013 when it debuted, but it even predates that, as we've established, on the cover of Mini Truckin' 14 years ago. But again, with an insert photo in Japan and a full feature, it's super cool, and I wanted to make sure that people were aware of this. Now, what I'm going to say is the next time I see it, and there could be some other shows, so you guys could chime in that it went to, this was the best photo I could get, and for some reason I couldn't blow it up any bigger before I saved it. This is from Gauge Online Magazine, so GaugeMagazine.com. Now, the ironic thing is they have tons of footage going back, 20 years or so on their website, so footage of different events. Some of them you can click and you can make bigger, but this was LST 10 years ago. So I had my truck there. Pascal's truck was there. And I had to use this photo of Pascal. This is one that he had put out there. And this started kind of like, to me, it started a tradition with the whole Bay, which is the best of show. Pascal, I think, is the GOAT when it comes to how he celebrated winning this award. Phil Built Designs, of course, does these amazing awards. And as a mini trucker and someone that loves the scene as much as I do, I got to tip my cap for this amazing build because he is the only mini truck owner in this long, rich history of this event to win this award. So will it ever happen again? We don't know, but I can tell you this. You could see there he was having a good time, and tip of the cap, Pascal, he really did it big. Speaking of doing it big, BIB, Battle in Bama, I had today I was about ready to start this video, and I said, wait a minute, I did see the truck again. Oh, by the way, I saw it May of 2017, and I'm going to show you a perspective of this truck you may not have ever seen with some 360 photos. Hopefully it'll work with how I'm going to display it here in just a moment. This is a very cool wide-angle photo I took with a 360 camera at the time. Of course, it's not a 360 photo. It's just a 180. But what I did is I held it up in the corner up by the headliner. Pascal said, hey, take all the photos you want. He even shared back then some of the 360 photos I took and said, hey, look at this perspective. I think it's an underrated aspect of being able to take photos of these trucks, using the 360. And I was doing it many years ago, way before the Insta360 came out. But this is a cool photo because you get to see kind of the low back seats. You see the dash, and of course, with it being that third door, I think it opens on both sides, if I remember correctly. But with this door being open and the front door being open, you get that wide perspective inside the truck. Now, for years and years and years, I would go to shows and take hundreds of photos. And at this event, I took maybe 100. For some reason, I couldn't find other photos I took. These were the few that I did take. And the cool thing at the time, I forget if it was Pascal's brother or someone he knew, because I had a conversation with him, had acquired Exception at that time, which is one of the other greatest of all time, in my opinion, in our truck scene. And it was super cool because he knew the person. He had acquired it. I forget if he had gotten it from Anthony or if Anthony had sold it to someone else first, but it was super neat. I was glad to be at Battle in Bama 2017 because these trucks were next to each other, and you can see these are a couple of wide-angle photos I took. The top one was cropped substantially. The bottom one I kind of left more for you to see there. Now, what I want to show you here, this is a perspective, again, that probably most of you have never seen other than Brett or Pascal or the recovery room, I believe it was, that did the interior. This is the cool thing, and again, I want to do more of this with some of ODB's corner going forward. But with this, I basically sat on a little mini tripod inside, of course, between the seats, and you can see, again, you just get this perspective now. On the phone, I think the way the Google Photos app is displaying these, it's having a challenge right here. So typically they don't look this muddy in this area, but again, you get a chance to see the steering column. I mean, just the hot rod themed of it. If I remember correctly, this is the key, which is super cool. I watched a video recently on how a guy talks about, making these, how you can take a key and kind of slice it off and make it work with these billet knobs. It's a pretty neat little thing. But you can see, again, the interior. To say that this is a hot rod themed interior really is an understatement. I think truly it's a work of art. Being able to, get a bird's eye view inside is super cool. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple other photos that I took. And, of course, I'm standing outside the truck at this point, kind of a remote photo. And, again, some of these are a little bit, you look at them and you go, that looks kind of a little weird. You can see a Good Guys sticker there. But here I am, standing right here, believe it or not, and taking the photo. But you can see even that this is something you may not have ever realized. Even the rearview mirror is just super sick in this thing. It's hot rodded out from every nut, every bolt, every piece of fabric that was used in it. Super cool. And then, of course, you can see here an older guy checking out Exception. Now, I've only got, I think, 360 photos of it. But so what I want to show you here is this is pretty neat. In the back, if you have ever looked at any magazines or seen any of the kind of the high-end cars that use some of these belt buckle or belt style, interior pieces, that's some high-end stuff right there. This, you get a chance to see some of the perspective of the interior. Of course, these trucks, if you think about, I had a conversation with someone the other day, it'd be probably back in your high school days when you were sitting in the back of a extended cab or cab plus, if you will, type truck. But this at least gets you the perspective of inside, the vehicle. And again, the way the Google Photos, these don't typically look like this, but the way on the website, at least, it actually kind of muddies it up a little bit. I think this centerpiece, if you will, right here is so iconic, and it's so awesome when you get a chance to see this truck in person. The new owner has really taken it to a lot of events. We'll look at some of the photos. It's super neat, in my opinion, to just be able to take a look at it and realize the amount of effort, work, the money, the craftsmanship that went into it. It's just beyond amazing. So I know you're going, hey, that's 2017. So from there, it does go into a point that I remember messaging Pascal, and I said, hey, I'd love to get a photo with my truck next to yours, tip of the cap, kind of, giving you your flowers. Like, you built this amazing truck, and I love it. It came out in 2013, finished. My truck came out in 2012. Before that was like Oliver, won Mini Truck of the Year. Then I won Mini Truck of the Year. And really, many people, including myself, I would argue and say, if Mini Truckin Magazine had not folded halfway through 2014, this truck was on the docket next. This to me is Mini Truckin Magazine's 2014 Truck of the Year, because it was always about a year behind. Oliver won it with the Tacoma. I won it in 2013, although my truck debuted in 2014 or 2012, and so on and so forth. But basically, what happens is there. Pascal ends up marketing this truck. He has it for sale for a while. And I remember, there were conversations like, man, is he going to get what he's asking for it? It still was a reasonable price, I think, by everybody's account. And back in, I want to say 2022, maybe mid to the second half of the year, Brett from Relaxed Atmosphere comes along and says, hey, I want to buy this. Now, I know it was in 2022 from memory, because this photo was at the Grand National Roadster Show in 2023, which is January. So we just passed January 2024. It was about a year ago, if I remember correctly, that this truck was there. And Brett, I think, was his first big show after he did some things to it to make it even on another level. And you could see here, wow, that 10-year span from the debut in March of 2013 to all the way here, January 2023, that's just under 10-year difference. The truck still looks just as amazing. Now, relaxed_Vegas is Brett Hunsaker. And again, the legacy that he has done and kind of carried on as the new curator of this truck is truly amazing. Now, my friend Joey Whitby here in the Relaxed Atmosphere shirt, next to Brett in the red shirt, was nice enough to bring Chuck Dog and I over to Brett's place. Brett said, yeah, come on by. This was pre-SEMA 2023. And I was so stoked. Brett was such a nice guy. And he said, hey, come on in. Can I take a couple photos? Hey, no problem. Can I post it? No problem. Super nice guy. And what I learned from Brett is that, this guy's passionate. And it really reinforced to me the conversations that we sometimes have around like, hey, it's bought, it's built, it's this, it's that. At the end of the day, it's about the passion. And to me, Brett's carrying the legacy on. Some of you are going to get a chance to see this truck at Maggie Valley 2024 for Mini Nats, which is the 30th anniversary. And many of you are going to be blown away. Some of you have never seen it. And if you're watching this way down the road, let me know what you think if you did see it at the show. So we've established it's technically been on 3 covers. Now, of course, the overseas, many of you may not have known about that, but there was the insert photo. So it did run, contrary to what a lot of people think. And I think even, Pascal has even kind of come out and said, and I've read between the lines a little bit, I truly feel that, it's possible that, in that era, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, someone may have said, hey, we're not going to put it on the cover. We've heard of this before, right, with other trucks. And I think the passion that Pascal had, he just was like, okay, fine, no problem. Just don't feature it. I didn't set out to build it to be featured. And now this truck kind of curates for, it's brewing for about 10, 11 years. And then, of course, Brett acquires it. And Brett goes out of his way to link up with Johnny O. Johnny O does this epic shoot. And at the time, Brandon Burrell is working at Street Trucks and, as the editor. My understanding at that time, he well, I know he was the editor, but he basically ends up landing the May cover, which is just fantastic. Now, this is part of my collection. I have a couple of copies of this, and I would ask that if you are seeing this now, kind of real time, go buy one on the newsstand if you can find it. If not, you can buy it on Street Truck's website. Now, taking a closer look at Street Trucks May 2024, this is the cover. You saw the still a moment ago. Johnny O shot this, of course, and I'm not going to show you the full feature. You'll have to buy it for now, but you can see here in the table of contents on the cover, when it comes to trucks built over the top, not many can touch the caliber of Stranger. Amazing shoot by Johnny O. Now, when you think of media coverage, and kind of breaking all this down, this is a photo. I forget if I took this one. I think I did. And this is pretty neat. There are a couple Easter eggs. I don't want to spend a lot of time here, but it's kind of cool. In the middle, it says, to the people that read this, thank you to all the friends that have kept me motivated and on track. PB, of course, his initials. But there's a couple little things in here. You have recognition concepts, recovery room, little shop, lots of friends, and shake weight, which I think is a little, again, Easter egg if you know what a shake weight is. But there's so much detail put into this, and I think this, to me, was super cool that they put this together. And, of course, here, friendlychopshop.com. Now, rounding out the story on this, OLP Honors, we rebranded our Best Of, because all the shows call their awards the Best Of. In 2023, we worked back with Welch's Chop Shop, and they do our awards. Welch and his dad, amazing people. They do our awards every year, and the OLP Honors going forward for 2023, we decided to give this truck a Vanguard Achievement Award. And when you think of like the MTV and you think of the Vanguard Award, it's people that just, they contributed so much. And I think this truck really when we look back in 20 years or 30 years or next year, we're going to look back and say, wow, this truck raised the bar. And, it's not always about that for all of us. We kind of are in it for different reasons, but certainly when you look at the history of our scene, you think about certain things that raise the bar, and you think about the airbags going onto a truck, or channeling and body dropping and stock floor body dropping, and just so many key things that go along with, another notch on this mini truck life that we love. Certainly this truck is one that I want to make sure Pascal and now Brett, he's getting, Pascal needs to get his flowers. He put a lot of time, effort, and money into this. And Brett, of course, tip of the cap for carrying this thing on. Now, this technically, I know some people are going to go, well, why is Brett going to get this? Well, Brett is the current curator, and, Pascal was ready to move on for whatever reason. That was his choice. So I think Pascal would be happy knowing that he's getting his flowers from OLP. And at the same time, Brett is a great guy. I've seen his award room there at his home, and this is going to look fantastic on it. So I can't wait to slap hands again with Brett at Mini Nats to turn this over to him. So I want to kind of wrap it up and say what a run. Like, if you look at this collection, you basically have the 2 DVDs that I showed you. You have Truck Trends, which is a great feature, and a lot of people don't know about it. You have the mini Truckin cover. Mike Alexander during his reign, overseeing that, if you will. John Jackson, of course, shooting it. And then you got Johnny O that's been in this thing 25 plus, probably longer than I have. Tip of the cap to Johnny O. You see the 3 Street Trucks issues there. This is also the 25th anniversary of Street Trucks. Of course, it started in August of 99, so I couldn't be more stoked for where we're at in the truck scene, and I hope that the evolution of what we continue to love is going to continue to evolve. I don't know how any other way to say it, because if you think about magazines kind of morphed into a while DVDs, and then Blu-rays kind of took off, and then now it's all online, it's social media, so we'll have to kind of see where it goes from there. But with that being said, I certainly appreciate you guys taking a little trip down memory lane. ODB, I approve this message. And fill in the blanks. If there's other shows, hey, I saw it at such and such. I want to know. This is the main media coverage that I'm aware of. And I love when you guys chime in and help me learn more. So stay on the rise. Pascal, you the man, brother. Brett, keep doing what you do, man. I love to see the success, and I appreciate all you mini truckers and just enthusiasts worldwide. So, leave a comment, even if it's an emoji thumbs up, and stay on the rise, y'all. I appreciate you. We out here. Peace.